Welcome to another show. We are going to be diving into the 5 biggest things to avoid while launching or relaunching your show. And this podcast is so important because of all podcasting, we have launched over 40 shows and we have seen some very successful shows grow and monetize. But more importantly, we have seen shows totally fail. And Sammy, I'm going to quote you here. You always say there are little hinges that swing big doors. And these are 5 little hinges that can totally change the trajectory of your podcast. So this is a really important episode. Let's just dive right in.
Diving in. All right. Welcome to the Healthy Profits Podcast, guys. So yes, the little hinges that swing the big doors. The first one that will swing big doors and also be a failure to your show is if you don't test your audience and don't find out what transformation you're going to take your audience through, and you haven't mapped that out and you haven't tested that with a group. That is a massive failure. We actually call it a piloting test. And this is one thing that I learned from a bunch of different TV shows, from movies, from a lot of really successful relaunches with podcasts, is we polled audiences, tested that to find out what people love. And a key phrase that we love to use at Evolve Podcasting to find out how to get great information from your audience when you're polling them is, what do you love and what could we do more of?
And sometimes I think people have this idea that they're going to create a podcast to gain new listeners. And so they take a theme that they want to share on in hopes to attract listeners. And that's really the opposite of what we encourage people to do. We think that you should be creating a podcast for your current listeners, even if that's a smaller list than what you dream and imagine. Start there, because then you're going to be actually talking to real people. So,
good point.
Number two is if you're not sticking to a timeline. Now, there's so many moving pieces. There's things that happen. We just launched this show. We are fresh in the experience of launching something new. And it's hard because perfectionism can come in and you can want to really dial everything in so it's perfect. You want it to feel spacious. We were talking to our team about that this morning. It's so nice to have a spacious launch and for it to just feel good and easy. But the reality of it is that if you're launching anything new for the first time, or even relaunching, putting something new out there is going to be some stickiness, and there's going to be some tough spots, and there's going to need to have this level of dedication to get it out there and get it out there on a timeline. And so what we've seen with clients is some can just get stuck in the details and get stuck in really just creating this perfect product. And they spend so much time doing that they actually just drag out the show until there's really no energy even left in it. It's like, what is the saying? Beating a dead horse? There's not really much left. And so if you're excited and inspired about launching a show or relaunching your show and doing it with new energy, make a timeline for yourself and get a team together, a production team or supportive team that says, okay, we're going to stick to this timeline. And yes, it might be challenging because there might be tech failures or things that might come up or new information that you get from polling your people and realizing, oh, wow, I made this one episode and they're actually wanting something else. We have to redo it quick. If you can stick to the original timeline, you will be so happy once you launch, because the thing is a podcast will evolve over time and as you get more feedback. So as you do more episodes and put them out there, as long as you are listening to your audience and engaging with them, you're going to get the feedback as you release the episodes. And so stick to the timeline, get a concise schedule in place, and then allow yourself to breathe through the evolution of your show. I think on our team call today, when we were talking about this, I even said, fear is just excitement not breathed into. And I think sometimes there's a constricting feeling because we're like, oh my gosh, we're doing something new and there's new pieces moving around. Remember, just take that deep breath, get back into your personal development training that you all have, get back into the breathing, and just keep taking action and stick to that timeline.
And I think one real big piece that we notice when people stick to a timeline on a relaunch is that you are getting your audience conditioned to your schedule.
Mhm.
So if you say you're going to relaunch on a certain day, make sure that you stick to that, because that's really the standard that your audience is going to hold for you. And that is the consistency that you want to get into the cadence of doing. So yeah, absolutely. That's the
Yeah.
amazing thing about launching to a deadline, is that it is the first domino of all of the pieces when it comes to scheduling and having your audience get conditioned to when you're coming out with your stuff.
And it also creates trust. You're gaining trust with your clients or your potential future clients, your listeners. And of course, as they can trust you and rely on you that your show's going to be coming out on this consistent rate, that's going to show the sturdiness, the structure of which your business is as well. And will just be that first subtle, energetic feeling that they have around, wow, this is consistent. This is something I can rely on, I can lean into. And as you guide them down your funnel and through your experience, when they get to know you more and become closer and potentially become a client, that's going to set up a great foundation for a relationship.
For sure. The way you do something is the way you do everything. We say that all the time around here. So
Like,
awesome.
I would never want Sammy to be like, hey, Ray, let's go on a date. And then he doesn't show up on the date or doesn't follow through. That's why we're together, right?
Oh my gosh. Brought that one in here, didn't we? I love it.
So,
Okay, here's the third tip. The third tip, and I talked about this in a really a episode a few back if you want to hear more on a deeper part of this conversation, but that is you book guests that are too big right away. And you don't want to do this for a couple reasons. The biggest is, if you're relaunching, you want to make sure that you're strong in your interview skills again, and that you have the ability to have those guests also promote your show. And sometimes you get these big guests right after a really big relaunch, but you haven't got the traction. You might not have the reps in. You might not feel super comfortable behind the microphone again. So you want to take that time to really hone your voice again, find that really, really big transformation that you're helping your audience really make, especially in a relaunch, and make sure that your marketing and everything is in place and top of line. We're actually running into a little of that issue right now, and I'm booking bigger guests. And I know I pushed them out a few weeks because our website has some fluky things that we had to fix. And then I had tech issues, and I want to make sure that those are super solid before we go deeper into our big guests. Like, we have a guest coming up, and his name is Travis Brown. He's making millions of hits on his Instagram channels. He's getting hundreds of thousands of views on his YouTube. And the last thing I want to do is open up those floodgates when we're still refining those things. We don't want you guys to make that same mistake. So make sure that you don't book guests that are too big for what you're ready to do. And I see that happen all the time.
And at every level, I think we've seen that with clients that are more so starting out and maybe have a smaller business right now. And we've seen that with clients that have 8-figure businesses. There's still flukes and misses and just little pieces that can get lost in the cracks. This is really, no matter where you're at in your business and how dialed things are, this is a whole new PR and marketing arm, your podcast. And so you got to treat it like a baby and let it grow up a little bit.
Grow up, baby. All right, take us to the next one.
All right. Number 4 is having too many calls to action. If you have too many calls to action, you're not giving your listener a clear place to go. It's like saying, hey, I'll meet you on the other side of the path, but there's 10 different paths to get there. So good luck. Try and you make your choice. It's confusing. It's confusing for the listener, and it doesn't really guide them in a clear direction. It can also destabilize that level of trust and authority, because it makes it feel like you don't know what should be their next step. And so as the authority figure of your show, of your business, you really want to know your listeners so well that you can say, yes, after you've done step 1, you got to do step 2. That will take you to step 3. So if the podcast, this opening conversation is step 1, what is step 2? And really let that land for them and guide them there clearly. So you can really help support them also in just creating some ease in terms of where they should go. They don't have to think about, do I need to go right or go left? It's it simplifies it for everyone and really gives a lot of clear direction.
I love it. Yeah, I see this in everybody's link tree that we start with. They have so many call to actions. And we know that if you were to look at the numbers on those, you're like, dude, no one's going to log into that. There's so much stuff. So yeah. And the number that we suggest for your call to actions inside your podcast, whether you're taking them from social media or you're taking them off of your show, is 1 to 2. And test those out. 1 to 2 call to actions. It will give them 1 or 2 places to go at the most. So I know that seems crazy and a little scary, but 1 to 2 call to actions doesn't mean you can't place other resources in the show, but your call to action where you want to take them out of the show should be very minimal, just 1 to 2.
Yeah. And for example, like for our show, we have a great freebie, which is the monetizing map to success for your podcast. So you can always go and download that. But our main call to action is, hey, we're offering free podcast audit calls while this show is in production, while we're releasing these new episodes. And so during this mini series, like, go to the link, get your podcast audit, and then we can talk from there. And it's a huge give. It's an amazing offer. And so you really want to do something that really is going to support your listeners and give them that clear next step forward.
Love it. Last point that we're going to make.
Let's go.
I talked about this in like a previous episode as well. And that
episode 2.
Is it 2?
If you want to go into it, episode 2.
Cool. And this is something I saw a lot of people make, and that was getting these guests. And this goes back to what we talked about before, getting the big guests on there. And then those guests took away the shine on our host, meaning that they were not all of a sudden the go-to expert in their field. So you want to position your shows moving forward into the next season so that you are the absolute guest expert in your field. And with all the points that we've made, all 5 of those points that we've just talked about, the one thing that's crazy about this is when you find out, you poll your audience, when you find out exactly what they want to hear, a lot of times they will tell you, I would like to hear more from you, the expert in your field. I loved your guests. I love this. But to position yourself as the guide that's taking them through their transformation is your sole purpose in these shows, especially as a health and wellness entrepreneur. Because when you do that, you position yourself in a much better way for them to get your supplements, get your course, get your book, or put you on their stage. So that's why we really want to make sure that you have yourself positioned as the big expert in your field, being careful not to book those big guests that may not know you and then outshine what you're doing, telling their audience only about their book or only about their service without fully relating it to you. So we want to make sure that you have the ability to get yourself as the expert in your field. That's it. That's the 5.
That's it. That's the 5. Simple. Follow those and you'll definitely have more success than if you don't follow those.
And again, make sure, this is our little CTA, that you guys definitely log on to get that audit on your podcast. Make sure that you guys check that out in the show notes so you can book an audit with us. And if you feel so inclined, feel free to share this with anyone else that was really trying to maximize their impact with their show, hasn't quite dialed in how to monetize their health and wellness show. This is the one for them. So get your audit and share this with someone that is looking for support as well. So thanks for being here, and we'll see you again
next time. Bye.
Ciao. Now that was a great episode. Thanks for joining us and tuning in to the Healthy Profits Podcast.
Sammy and I are here to help you turn your health podcast into a treasure trove of opportunity for your listeners and your business. So join us twice a week as we unleash our favorite tips and strategies that have helped our clients at Evolve Podcasting turn their show into a thriving part of their business.
And make sure you subscribe and listen in as each episode builds upon each other. And I know that you're a generous leader, so make sure you share this podcast with your fellow wellness entrepreneurs so we can all grow together.
Until next time, stay healthy and keep thriving.
Bye.
Bye.